Everyone. This is Luis Centenaro. I am the CEO and founder of LATAM. I'm really excited to be here with you today. We've been prepping for this Nearshore one-on-one webinar to go over a lot of the questions that we get asked in our sales calls, through our networking events, from folks that have already hired in LATAM or are planning and hiring in LATAM for the first time. So a few housekeeping items as some folks are rolling in here. Uh, so you can use the chat in the bottom right to go in and ask any questions. Maybe it's in the center middle for you. Feel free. We want to make this as engaging as possible. Ask away. We want to hear from you. What do you want to talk about? What do you want to learn and get out of this webinar? So the order of, hey Danny, welcome to the webinar. Excited to see you here. And the first thing that we're going to be covering is, let me share my screen, and we'll have some slides to share. So now, who am I? I am Luis Cent, and as I mentioned, I'm the founder and CEO of LATAM Cent, and for the last decade, I've been building teams near shore and offshore and in the US. So, I have done this in-house for a number of SaaS companies before turning this into a business. David, welcome. Excited to see you here. Feel free to use the chat to ask any questions y'all have. Excited to go through this Nearshoring 101 with y'all. So, for the last 10 years, what we've seen in the tech world is a lot of roles get pushed out either to India, get pushed out to Pakistan, but really in the most recent years, Latin America has become the hotspot. So that's what we're going to be covering today. So some key takeaways and outcomes from this webinar. Number one, you're going to be understanding the benefits of nearshore. You're going to understand, number two, some common challenges, how to overcome them. Three, cost comparison and optimization. Four, selecting and identifying the LATAM countries and the best talent from those countries. And lastly, number five, the legal and compliance essentials, the not so fun part that you can have a partner or an agency handle for you if you'd like. So I'll pause there for a second. And again, feel free to ask any questions in the chat function. Be happy to pause and answer some of those live while you have me here today. All right, so what's been your experience in hiring in LATAM, right? I think most people that I see here, they might be hiring in LATAM for the first time. They have never hired in Latin America before. So that's what we'll focus on here, is teaching folks how to hire in Latin America for the first time. If you do have some more in-depth questions and are a little more advanced, happy to share with you some of those insights. As we've learned a ton from working with our different folks. Valeria, welcome. Great to see you here. Feel free to chime in the chat if you have any questions at all. So,
Thank you.
two questions here: nearshoring versus offshoring. So, nearshoring is when you are in the same time zone. You're in the Western Hemisphere, right? Think everything south of test device issue not accessible. Okay, I think we're all good. Think of everything south of the USA, right? So you got Mexico, you got the Caribbean, you have South America, you have some islands. Can everybody hear me okay? Got a,
Yes, we can hear you just fine.
um, so offshoring, that's when you're looking at China, you're looking at India, Pakistan, Philippines. So I hired my first WordPress web developer. It was in 2013, so over 10 years ago, in the Philippines, right? That is offshoring, really popular. There's a lot of Philippine sites. Then I hired my first virtual assistant, and I hired her in India, and this was over 10 years ago. Now, this was really great when I was running some e-commerce businesses, some dropship businesses that didn't necessarily need real-time collaboration and didn't need for you to be in the same time zone or get things done right away, right? I could assign some tasks And then while I slept, those tasks were getting worked on. And that was really great for offshoring. But what US businesses, specifically SaaS, are starting to realize is that by building nearshore, by building directly in the same time zone with the same culture mentality, you're able to get a lot more done in less time. So nearshoring has really been more prevalent lately, especially as some countries like India and Pakistan, we're at war. There's some war going on in the Middle East. There's war going on in Europe. So who would have thought it? But Latin America is becoming more stable than a lot of other places to go and hire from. So we've seen a lot of centers, development shops in the Ukraine coming to us and asking for help how to build in Latin America. So what's the advantage? Well, the talent quality and the cost of living, as I mentioned, cultural compatibility and collaboration needs. So there's a really, really good book. It's called The Culture Map, written by Erin Myers. And she puts it on the map and compares Asian cultures versus US cultures versus Middle East versus Latin American. Latin American culture is the closest culture to the US in many ways, shapes, or forms. So I don't have to speak much about the time zone alignment and advantages that's just prevalent right there. So the challenges that you face. So legal and compliance, you're going to face those legal challenges, cultural nuances and communication, talent acquisition and retention, productivity and engagement. These are all challenges you're going to face regardless of where you hire, right? There's going to be some cultural nuances, if you're hiring in different states in the US, legal and compliance. If you're hiring across states in the US, you are running into, especially California, New York, you are running into legal and compliance issues all the time. Talent acquisition and retention, productivity and engagement, right? This is about having a good remote work environment and enabling, hiring doers that want to go and solve problems rather than just take orders. So these are challenges you're going to face regardless. You might as well face them when hiring in Latin America. All right, so cost comparison and optimization. So we focus on helping clients hire across three main sectors. So we help SaaS companies, VC backed, PE backed, some bootstrapped. And what we do is we help them hire go-to-market talent, so account executives, SDRs. We help them hire engineering talent, full stack devs, AI devs, DevOps. And lastly, we help hire finance and accounting talent, so bookkeepers, controllers, FP&A analysts. Those roles all have different costs depending on the country, depending on the skill set and what you're looking for, right? So here we have some average salary benchmarks that you can look through. Really, if you're curious about a specific role, happy to answer anything in the chat for you. Or you can email me, luis@latamcent.com. Find me on LinkedIn, Luis Cent, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have regarding salary, roles to hire, and how to really optimize and build your team in LATAM. But one of my favorite websites, it's called Numbeo, Numbo, no affiliation there, but you can type in a city, right? Medellin versus Miami, cost of living. I'm in Medellin now. I spend half the year here, half the year in Miami, and I think these prices are actually outdated. We're definitely spending more than $242 a month in groceries here, and it was closer to the 1,000 range a month in Miami. Rent prices have definitely gone up in Medellin. You're not really finding a great place for 328, but it's going to be it's going to be less than the Miami price that you're looking at here. So that's where this arbitrage comes from, right? You're able to go and pay candidates in dollar. They have their hey Paula. They have their they have their currency exchange rate, right? It's in Medellin it's 4,000 pesos is $1. Argentina faced an extreme crisis in inflation, and their currency got devalued so much until Milei took over recently. That's been stabilizing. So candidates there needed to get paid in dollar. Brazil, it's a whole story I don't even want to get into. But The dollar is the stronger currency in these, and it's a really valuable thing to do is be able to pay candidates in dollars. So what does what do salaries look like? So top 50% of salaries, LATAM versus USA. So an engineer in Latin America, maybe you're paying around 50K a year. In the US, it's 132K a year. Now this is a top 50% benchmark, right? We have some clients that want to pay 132,000 a year for the best developer in Argentina, the best developer in Brazil, and that's what we go and help them find. Right now, some clients are more cost conscious and they want to focus on really scaling, but within budget. And these are all very average salaries and easy to find, from marketing to engineering to sales roles, where in the U.S. you're paying at least double for these roles. Plus, on the back end you're dealing with different state laws, different compliance issues that the U.S. has. So these are some general benchmarks. It's going to change for the top 10%. It's going to change if you want to hire the best AI engineer in Brazil, right? We're seeing offers for 10,000, 12,000 USD a month, comparable to a Midwest U.S. salary is what we're seeing for the top talent. Now, which countries do you hire from? This is a question that we get all the time. Argentina, Brazil, Colombia, Mexico, Chile, Costa Rica, El Salvador. Where do I hire from, right? And it really depends on what your goals are. So if your goal is to have somebody that's really near and you can fly to and have events with and build an office around, right? Maybe you're going to choose somewhere like Colombia or Mexico. If your goal is to find the best engineers and you don't, it doesn't matter where they are, you're probably going to focus in Argentina and Brazil. So it really depends on your goal. We have some clients, they like to host an yearly event, right? So rather than having everybody all over Latin America, they want them concentrated in one country to make it really efficient to have this yearly event. Not deal with as many compliance and legal issues, holidays, and all those things that come into play, because every country is unique. So that question, I'm going to answer it like a lawyer or a politician. It depends, right? It really depends where to hire from. So now, how do you find the best talent? And three different ways, really, right? You can use a marketplace. I've used them before, Upwork, Fiverr, and you can get started right now, right? I have no affiliation to Upwork. They're not going to pay me for mentioning their name here, but you can go to upwork.com, post a job, and you can start hiring somebody. Now, Fiverr as well, it's, these marketplaces developed into billion-dollar companies. So they're obviously doing something right. And I think it's a really great low risk way to do this yourself for the first time. Now, eventually you're going to want to get some more full-time people. You're going to want, Upwork itself, it's a marketplace, meaning that those folks that you're hiring, they're probably working different jobs. Now, that's not to say that you can't find somebody great on Upwork. I have, and and they worked out great. They can turn out into full-time workers. Upwork has you can buy out their contract, all sorts of things. But inherently, it's a marketplace, meaning that talent that you find there is constantly getting pitched new opportunities, and they're looking to work on a freelance type basis. It's really hard to find somebody great long term there. My success rate, would be less than 5% to find somebody great within a marketplace like this for a full-time role. Now, if you're hiring like a part-time video editor or a part-time designer, even a part-time VA, this can be a really good starting point, right? Get your feet wet, jump in, test it out, see if this is even a viable option for you. Secondly, do it yourself, right? So you can go to LinkedIn right now. You can click post a job, and you can post a job for free. You're probably not going to get any applicants because LinkedIn wants you to pay some money. It's on average about $50 a day to go and advertise your post to get the number of applicants that you need. Now, The issue here, and the issue that we hear all the time, is that what happens is that you put a job posting out there and you have over 100 applicants and only one or two of them will actually be qualified. So there's some, if you want some tips and tricks on how to counteract that, I'm happy to share. uh, DM me, ask questions here. I can share with you some insights that we've learned on how to not spend all day going through resumes that aren't really qualified. Uh, and lastly, right, you have the Ritz Carlton way, which is you use a partner, you use an agency. So we work with a lot of companies. They have entire recruiting teams, but they're not specialized in hiring in Latin America, and that's what they leverage us for. So they end up using us to go and do niche roles, target different countries they never hired from before, and look at us to be an extension of their recruiting team. And I'll tell you right now, 99% of our candidates come from outreach, cold outreach. They're not actively applying, they're not actively looking. We are going out there and hunting for really specific profiles that match our clients' needs, and that's the Ritz Carlton service is where what you're paying for. So those are your options. I think it's really simple for you to get started. By going to a marketplace as a first step. If you're trying to get your feet wet, not invest a lot, and you don't have a lot of time to run jobs and interviews and all that. All right, so some things to look out for, right? So when you're hiring, let's say you in Upwork, I'm not really sure. I don't think a lot of your IP and protection is actually yours. So I haven't done any, I haven't hired those roles, so I'm not sure about how that actually works. I've never hired anybody that I needed to protect IP in Upwork, but when you have them on your own paperwork, right, you want to make sure that your product is yours, and if they're developing code, that you own it rather than them being able to go and sell that technology, to a company in their country or to another client that they have. So you want to make sure when you're hiring on your own paperwork that you have great IP protection. You're limiting your liability. That way, you're not going bankrupt because of one misclassification issue, and most importantly, you should have the right team in place, right? So we work with clients in a number of ways. A lot of them choose for us to handle everything for them. So we have legal and payroll experts that are going to handle everything, but a lot of them already have a legal team, right? So maybe they get some training on how to hire in different countries, or to use one of our partners, which we'll mention in a little bit here. And that's a really important part, right? Because as soon as you give a candidate an offer, you don't want to spend a week, 2 weeks researching how to legally hire in that country. You want to have you want to be ready with that agreement within 24 hours, or else you're going to lose that top candidate. And we've seen it happen before. All right, so we talked about handling it in house, and then also the other option of hiring an agency. So we do have some EOR recommendations from our two partners here. Rise, incredible company. They offer for you to get paid on the blockchain, stable coins, even daily payouts, which is really unique in the industry. And they have a couple different options, from EOR to contractor of record, and work with almost every country in Latin America. And then you probably, if you've researched EORs, Deal also comes up a lot. Another one of our partners, and Deal, they're I think they just crossed like the billion ARR, and they have been acquiring companies like crazy. So now you can manage IT inside their platform, HR, and it's also another great company. So those are two of our recommendations. If this is something that you want to go do yourself and you want to go handle, happy to make an introduction. Again, you can ping me, ask any questions, and I will happily handle those introductions for you. On the other hand, if you don't want to go and sign up for a new platform and learn new compliance and and have your already stretched thin legal team handle this, then we recommend using an agency, right? We're an agency. You can probably Google and find, or ChatGPT now. We're getting leads from ChatGPT, so I guess that's what people are using for finding nearshore agencies. You can go and get some quotes, right? How can you handle this for me? What countries do you cover? For us, we cover everything other than Venezuela and Cuba. If they're a sanctioned country by the U.S., maybe Brazil will be sanctioned soon, which would be unfortunate. Bad joke, but with us, we can go and help handle that for you, or we can introduce you to one of our partners here. So moving on to some of the success stories that we've had and some of the companies that we've helped. Hopefully this inspires you to think through how you would go and set up your nearshore team. So FlexPoint we've been working with for about 2 years. We work with Travis, their CEO, and initially they were faced with a big challenge, which was the rising cost of U.S. hires. They had really aggressive growth targets, and they needed specialized talent. So what we did for them is we found them account managers and customer success reps that could provide a one-on-one touch where otherwise it would have been completely unaffordable and unrealistic in the U.S. And they wouldn't have got the profitability. So with us, they're able to hit profitability. They're able to provide a superior experience to their customer, and this turned into a really great opportunity for us, along with FlexPoint, where FlexPoint started asking, hey, you guys did a great job with account managers and account executives. Can you also help us hire engineers? Can you help us hire a CMO? Can you help us hire sales reps, right? So we expanded across all the departments in that account. And they have a really healthy nearshore team now. And what I love about them is that they go and every year they fly everybody out to Jacksonville, Florida, to the FlexPoint office, which is right in Jacksonville Beach, and they get to experience the culture, and that's something that really ignites the vision and gets everybody going towards the same goal. So I love that about them. And you can see the quote here from Travis. Happy to share a video he's done as well, and how that experience has worked for him. And SourceFuse. So SourceFuse, another great success story. So they had over 500 employees across India, London, the US, and we had the opportunity to go and help them build their first nearshore team. So we were hiring senior developers, and those senior developers were being groomed to be CTOs. So under them, we hired AI machine learning leads, engineers, .NET devs to work on their clients and to help create the first nearshore environment for them, where they were really, a lot of our clients, they come to us for cost savings. This was actually a more expensive solution compared to hiring in India. It's going to be 20-30% more, right? Half of the US, but 20-30% more than India. And why would they do that when they have a good setup in India? They have an office in India. Well, they needed US hours. They needed perfect English with little to no accent, and they needed leaders. So that is one of the reasons why, a few of the reasons why SourceFuse, came to work with us, and we've hired over half a dozen devs for them to start building their nearshore environment. All right, for the Q&A, I had fielded some questions here. What could go wrong? I think this was one of the, and I'll stop sharing here. What could go wrong? So this was a question that was asked, by a CRO of $100 million a year company before we built out their go-to-market team. Give me all the reasons why this would fail. And I started thinking from the top of my head. I was like, okay, this is a really great question. What could actually go wrong? So the biggest thing that could go wrong is you don't treat your team like an actual team, right? You're expecting folks to just be order takers, or to jump in and learn your entire culture, where if you don't make the actual investment, right? And I can share 2 stories. We had 2 clients. They started at the same time. One of them had 100% in-office culture in Salt Lake City, and the other one had distributed offices, across uh, the U.S., New York, Miami Beach, Austin. One of them invested in flying out to the country of choice, flying out to Colombia every year, meeting with the team, hosting the other, and then the other one didn't invest in anything other than, hey, here's a dialer, here's Salesforce, go figure it out. One of them had sales enablement, SDR managers, coaching. The other one didn't have any of that in place, right? So to hire in Latin America and think it's going to be a silver bullet and that you can just solve all your problems by getting labor that's priced more strategically than the U.S. It, that is what could go wrong. So that CRO reassured me, hey, we have everything in place, right? We have the playbooks. We have the team that's going to be listening to their call recordings and giving them feedback. We have remote, engagement tools within to make sure everybody's engaged and happy, and we're hosting regular one-on-ones with them, right? Well, it sounds like you have a really great way to keep your remote employees engaged. Other than not hiring the right talent, there really is no reason why this wouldn't work. So that's one of the very common questions we get. And another common question we get is, what country do I hire from? So I love that question because the first thing I ask, well, what are your goals? It's like, what do you mean? What are our goals, right? So, well, if you're hiring engineers and you want them to be able to, you want to hire the best engineers, my recommendation is that you become country agnostic, that you don't have a preference on where they are, as long as they're incredibly hardworking, they're talented, they speak great English. Uh, don't really mind where they're actually going to be. So the other end of the spectrum is folks that want to eventually set up an office, companies that are testing out the waters to eventually break into a territory. So most of our customers, they're not actually hiring to target the LATAM market. We have one or two that are. They want to expand and start selling their software more into Latin America. They've already hit great traction in the US. But 99% of our customers, they are hiring candidates that are going to be working within the US market. We target folks that have already worked for US companies and have that US experience for that reason. But it becomes really challenging if you want to hire specifically in a country, specifically in a city, you want people to go in office. The more requirements you add, the smaller your talent pool is. So that's why I go back to the main question, which is, what are your goals? What do you want to accomplish? Do you want to fly there every year? Do you want to fly them into the US? Do you want to build a hub? Do you want to target the Latin America market? What is the main goal that you're hoping to achieve? So, with that, I will wrap this up. You can book a free recruitment plan today. Happy, no sales pitch. If you just want to jump on and ask questions about hiring in Latin America, whether you work with us or not, I am happy to share with you a recruitment plan and a strategy where you can go and hire talent in under 21 days. You can find me, Louis Sent, on LinkedIn. And you can email me, Louis, Luiz, at latamcent.com. Thanks so much for joining today, and we'll be hosting another one next month. Uh, look out for these monthly. Excited to see y'all. My pleasure, Sandy. Before I jump off, if you have any questions, happy to answer them. Nicole, how do you see the nearshore industry evolving in the next 3 to 5 years, especially with AI and automation entering the picture? That is a great question, Nicole. My pleasure, Alessandra. Happy to answer any questions before I hop off. Sandy, I'll get to yours next. So, Nicole, how do I see the industry evolving with AI and automation entering the picture? Right. Well, I recently went to a conference in Minnesota. It was a staffing conference for Aviante. It's ATS software that has a lot of light industrial staffing needs. So like forklift operators and things like that. A lot of roles that I had never heard of before. So it was really interesting. And there was 5 vendors there that did AI recruiting, right? And I mean, our team in LATAM Center is using AI in every single aspect, from job description creation, interview analysis, candidate analysis, uh, client kickoff, analyzing if a candidate's gonna pass or not, right? But how does AI shorten this cycle from 21 days to maybe 10 to maybe 7? Now, I tell my team that look, you're not gonna get replaced by AI, but you're going to get replaced by somebody using AI, and that's I guess that's when I see the entire team starting to use AI a lot more. It's like, okay, we don't have to be scared of this thing, but we need to leverage it, right? We need to understand how we can use it to achieve our goals. So in the next 3 to 5 years, I see every company that hasn't adopted AI, they're going to get left behind. They're going to take longer and longer to fill roles, right? So from 100 resumes, if you're not using AI to analyze those resumes, you have human capital. And if you're spending too much money uh, going and trying to fill a role, well, you're not going to have money to reinvest back in the business. So those companies are, unfortunately or fortunately, well, how you look at it, they're not going to exist. But the ones that have adopted AI are going to exist. Now, I'm going to see. I predict there's going to be a lot of consolidation, a lot of companies exiting the nearshore industry. Some that have been around 10 for 20 years, some that are just starting that aren't going to make it. Our goal is to continue leveling up and continuing to deliver value for our clients. We're building our own type of AI and workflows and GPT assistants within our processes to make our recruiters and our team and our sales more effective. Love the question, Nicole. Thank you. Sandy, you have another one here. How are your thoughts on how AI affected nearshore hiring for content roles? We're finding that while many candidates speak English, writing at a US market standard is a different skill, and AI often makes it hard since some grammar or tone issues can slip through. Do you see this impacting the type of talent available or the way we should assess them? That is another wonderful question. So we, our growth marketing manager, Luciani, and I have interviewed dozens and dozens of content writers. And it's actually one of the more difficult roles to hire for, especially now with AI, right? So we go and we like the first step, what we do is we do have a project. we have a we do a project where we send them an article and have them write 400 words or so, and then we run it through an AI. 10 years ago it was a plagiarism checker, so like copy AI or a plagiarism checking tool that would say, okay, this article is copy pasted for something else. Now we have to run it through the plagiarism checker, but also the AI checker, and it'll show you, hey, this article is written 99% by AI. It's like, okay, come on, why would I pay a writer to use AI to go and just, create basically garbage that is now going to be on my site? So depending on what your writing is for, right? So if your content is for blogs, or if your content is for ebooks or webinars like this, right? It's gonna vary, but what we like to do is just test the candidates, give really clear instructions on what we need and how to use AI and how not to use AI, and let them know that we're going to be running this through an AI checker and to use their own voice. And after it was not our normal 21 days, it took about 42. But we were able to find a great content writer internally that is now supplementing our blogs and tells a great story, and doesn't really use AI maybe uses AI for the shell, but doesn't use AI for the actual writing. Right? They're still writing themselves, which is what we want. But it's yeah, the grammar issue. I mean, you can fix with Grammarly. You can fix by just hiring somebody that understands grammar, but you're gonna have to go through a lot of noise before that. And I mean, that's where you pay somebody to go through it for you, or you go through it yourself. I see a true there. Yeah, absolutely, Sandy. My pleasure. My pleasure. Uh, you're engaged and you're here. I'm happy to answer any other questions you have. I have another 20-minute block on my calendar here, so I can let you go or answer any. I'm truly happy to answer anything else that you have, Sandy. I'll stay here for another 30 seconds or so. See you in the next one, Sandy. Thanks so much for showing up. Uh, but yeah, I'll stay around for another 30 seconds or so. See if any other questions come, and then I will stop the webinar, and we'll see you next month. Thanks, Nicole. Appreciate you being here. Thanks, Danny. Bye, everyone. Have the best day ever. Thanks for coming.